You dropped what? Down there? Stick around and see how we get it out. Okay, now explain what happened.
So, we were here on a Cub Scout meeting. We were playing around on this rock, and I had my pocket knife right here. And I jumped across this, and my pocket knife fell, and now it's somewhere deep in this, like, super deep crack.
So we went out to the rock. In our first attempt, we had taken some PVC pipe, we'd run a string through it, and then we have this magnet, and I have a different Swiss Army knife, and it is magnetized. So that was the original plan, was to just drop the magnet down and try to pick it up. Problem is, the knife that Spencer lost is in a case. I did have this camera unit that hooks up to my phone, so we had taped this to the string. Actually, then we taped it to the magnet so we could see what was going on down there. And when we got out to the rock, we actually could see the knife on a ledge, but we tried to lower the magnet down. I actually had it in PVC, so it was rigid, and I tried to grab it, and I knocked it deeper. So we went out and used the straight fishing approach, dropping the magnet on a rope with the camera on it down in the hole, and we actually found where the knife was. It was actually sitting in a plastic cup that had also fallen down the hole. So we knew, because of the plastic cup, I wasn't going to be able to get the magnet close enough. Plus, I was already fearful that the magnet wouldn't grab it in the case. So it was time to head home and come up with a plan B. So after we saw it down inside the hole, we realized this is probably the best tool to grab it, because it has this claw at the end. You press down on this and the claw opens, and you release it and the claw closes. Problem is, this is what, 20 inches long, and I need to go down something like 14 feet. So I had to figure out a way to control this remotely. And the method I knew I needed for the rigidity was PVC pipe, to make a long PVC pipe chain down there. So how do I make this? So I went into my sprinkler box looking for PVC fittings, and I found these ones. This is a 1-inch adapter, I think 3/4. But what I noticed is that that fit perfectly right down inside. So, and that this 1-inch coupler, if you shave off these little edges, will perfectly made this, which has the 1-inch coupler inside. Some screws, I wanted it totally screwed together because I didn't want to glue it, because once you glue it, you can't take it apart. And then I came up with this little lever. So I bent just a piece of, I cut up some coat hanger and drilled some holes through the plastic and bent a coat hanger. So when you drop in the gripper, you now can press down on this, and it's really hard to do with one hand, but you can then flip this lever around and hold it closed. As you can see, so there it is, held closed, and the claw is open. And then if you just push on this lever, boom, and the claw closes. And the idea was you could grip it down there, and then we taped the camera onto the end of this and then up the pipe so we could see what was going on. So obviously I had to have a string to pull on the release lever. Quick side note, if anybody ever tries this at home, grind a little groove like with a file in this, because one of the biggest problems I had is it would like go off early. So now we have it all armed, and we would slip it onto the end of the PVC pipe, and then you screwed it on here. You could barely stick it in because I didn't have a lot of room. I needed this thing to be able to move on the inside. This string, which has a hole drilled at a fairly steep angle, so the string will run up the pipe. That way the string is getting caught on the rock going down the hole. So then you just lifted this and you looped it over. Oops. There we go. I did it differently when I actually did it. But if you pulled it on the string, it would go off and it would retract. So now we were good to go, and we headed back out to the rock to try it again. So we made it out to the rock. This thing's like 15.5 feet long, and we needed almost every foot of it. So here's our first attempt. We're lowering it down into the crevasse, and it went right off. So second attempt, we get down, we can actually see the knife, and it set off again. So we're up to our third attempt, and we actually got it around that lip of the cup. So I said, well, you know what, maybe I can just lift the entire cup out. So I set it off, but the cup was too wedged in there to pull it out. So then I ran a little test to make sure that I could actually even get it in the cup. The light on the camera, there's a switch and it had dimmed down. So we had a couple of attempts where we were sticking it down with no light and just blindly trying to get it. So on our seventh attempt, we went down. We got onto the knife in a good position, but of course the string had popped off the little lever, so it didn't work. On our eighth attempt, we went down and we wrapped around the clip, and I was like, well, maybe it'll wedge itself in there and work. No luck. We set it off and it bounced too far away when we did it. But then on the ninth try, we got down right over the top like we did on the seventh, and the string was still attached, so we deployed it, and up it came. And look at this grin on Spencer's face here at the end when he got his knife back.
We finally got it.
The sun was setting. My phone's on like 4%, and we finally got it. Success.